Today on The Ascent Health, we are back with Justin Penny at Gameday Men's Health. We are finishing our conversation from last episode. This time we're talking about why women sneak into Gameday Men's Health. Justin clarifies they're not sneaking in, they are welcome in. We're talking about peptide therapies. What are they? Who uses them? What are they for? There's some fun ones that help you get more tan. I don't know whether or not Justin uses those. He's got a great tan. So join us for today's episode to find out.
Yeah.
Let's just touch on peptides though. Different ones you have that women are sneaking into the office for and what they do.
Yeah. So peptides are amino acids, not to get too far into the weeds, but think of them as keys to unlock cellular function. So similarly with you're producing less testosterone, less growth hormone, and as you age, your cells just become less functional. They become senescent. So peptides, they're these naturally occurring in your body amino acids that your body already knows what they are. They already have them in varying levels. And so you're just injecting them in higher levels and your body is like, oh yeah, maybe I should produce more growth hormone. Yeah, maybe I should
blocks.
Or produce more collagen or elastin, or maybe we do need to have the synapses firing a little faster for cognitive function.
Yeah.
And so some of the more popular ones are like a sermorelin or an ipamorelin that increase your body's natural production of growth hormone. So you're going to sleep great and you're going to recover faster from workouts. So the two main things that people rave about on ipamorelin and sermorelin. Or for recovery, things like BPC 157, TB 500, you'll hear it called the Wolverine stack. Or if you add GHK copper, it's called Glow. And for tissue regeneration, wound healing. So for instance, our medical director, Dr. Kevin Paisley, shoulder surgeon, owns the Alaska Shoulder and Orthopedic Institute here in town. And so he's developed protocols for both non-surgery, very conservative treatment options. So when people come to him and they're like, hey, I don't know if I need surgery or not. He's like, hey, try this first.
That's awesome.
Go to Gameday. Here's a protocol.
Yeah.
That's for that individual. And then we have them out here to do non-surgery routes, and then also guys pre and post-op of things they can do to help prepare their body for surgery, and then also to help tissue regeneration and wound healing in a post-op environment alongside physical therapy.
And then do those injections, do they go locally? If it's a shoulder, do they go to the shoulder, or how do peptide injections work?
Yeah, it depends. But so for instance, pre and post-op surgery stuff with BPC 157 can be either oral, it can be injected at the injury site, or it can be injected generally in the love handles or in the belly.
Okay.
So there's different use cases for each thing. So let's just talk about BPC 157. There's the most clinical literature about BPC compared to any of the other peptides we have. Well-studied, well-known, very effective, very safe. For oral BPC, administration is for GI and gut issues. So some people, if you have IBS or SIBO, it can be really effective for that. But it's not going to be directly as effective.
Helping heal the gut.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the initial thing is well, if it doesn't work for wound healing, then why would you take oral BPC? It's because if you're taking antibiotics, you're wrecking your gut biome and all the downstream effects from that. And so hey, let's fix the gut from the inside with the oral administration, and then using injections, work on the tissue regeneration itself. So there's oral side, there's injections, and then there's different. It gets back to the what's the physiological ideal versus what is the most likely to be adhered to.
Yes.
And so how far we're down this rabbit hole we want to go. Long story
Duck
short.
your head in.
Long story short, peptides, general injections with an insulin, a slim pin, little 1/4-inch, 31 gauge needle, tiny little guy. So it's not you're jamming a harpoon into your quad every day or something. And generally it's going to be a daily injection. And again, not maybe the first time can be slightly intimidating.
Yeah.
If you've never done an injection of anything before, but it's easy breezy. It's not a big deal.
We should have had one here and you could have demoed it and watch Justin inject himself.
It's so small you probably couldn't even see the needle.
That's what I'll do dry needling on camera, and it's you've got to zoom so close because those are super, super thin.
And then for the growth hormone peptides, ipamorelin and sermorelin are generally used 5 days on, 2 days off. So Monday through Friday, and then take the weekend off. And then within that, you'll generally cycle those, generally kind of 8 to 12 weeks on, maybe 4 to 12 weeks off, depending on the individual and their goals. And so it It depends. We have one patient whom I love who has Parkinson's that we have a peptide called dihexa that's been like
Yeah.
fantastic for his tremors. His
Interesting.
wife is a
Yeah.
patient of ours as well. So it's really fun again to like just help men. Every body is a unique puzzle and has their own goals and their own history and their own lifestyle. And so to find what's going to work for that individual to help them show up as their best self, whether it's as a father, as a husband, as a leader. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Very cool. And then on the peptides, are these more like short-term treatments that you're doing, or are they also like could keep going? It depends on the stack. Do we take Wolverine forever? Do we?
No, I mean, generally there's going to be cycles. And generally there are some that complement each other. So like I mentioned with the growth hormone, something you're going to do kind of rough numbers, 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off.
Yeah.
You can rotate that through. There's other ones like tesamorelin, or IGF-1 LR3 that may be more targeting like stubborn belly fat or, visceral adipose tissue.
Yeah.
Or IGF-1 LR3 is used by more kind of aggressive bodybuilder types to really pump up growth hormone levels. PT141, I should have mentioned from the jump for the ladies listening, is enhances libido. And so typically used more in women, honestly, than in men.
Okay.
And when we were
but
talking
it can
about
be used
earlier,
in men. So
yes,
interesting.
Yes. But we were talking earlier about ED and how endocrine and vascular based, but we didn't talk anything about like actual like drive to have sex. Whereas PT141 from a brain chemistry perspective, like increases the actual drive to have sex, not necessarily the physical ability to do so.
Okay.
And so PT141 often used by women for increasing libido.
Yeah.
They
sign themselves up for that, or their partners are signing them
generally
up?
Women.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's ones that like make you tan, melanotan too.
Oh, right. I saw that. Okay. Yeah.
Wild.
You're not on that one right now?
No, not at the moment.
Check out Dustin's tan, and I was like, how's mine?
But thank you. No, it interacts with melanin and literally makes you tan. If you take too much, it turns kind of orange. But there is like
our president's on it. Yeah, right. Basically, might be. We don't know.
But again, a very fun space. All kinds of new and different uses for these. Very safe. And on the one hand, it's this like new semi-emerging kind of thing. Right. On the other, like insulin is a peptide. So we've known about peptides for north of 100 years, and they're used by millions of people around the world. And then we haven't even touched on the GLP-1s with semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide being the latest and greatest. Most people are familiar with semaglutide and tirzepatide for weight loss, but then retatrutide, super interesting, is in clinical trials. So it's not FDA approved, but very, again, on the bro science side of things. Yeah. So think of semaglutide working on one pathway, tirzepatide working on two pathways with the GLP-1 and the GIP, and then you add on a glucagon agonist, and so it's a 3-pathway peptide. And I'll share a story. So bodybuilders are using Reta not only in a cut to like lose weight, like you would think of traditionally with like a tirzepatide, but also in a bulk, because it basically makes your body more efficient with the calories that you're taking in. And the appetite suppressant aspect of it is generally lower than what tirzepatide is. So you still have some appetite, but you're just more efficient with the food that you're taking in. And so folks will use it on a bulk when they're trying to get big, because they're eating the same amount of calories, but it's as if they're eating more because they're processing them more efficiently. Yeah. So if you can fight through the mild appetite suppressant, you can use it to get bigger. And then you can also use it while you're cutting, and that you don't need to limit your calories as much necessarily. And continuing to be efficient. And there is some of that mild appetite suppressant. And so going both directions for people. And it's really interesting to see. There was a study that came out a month ago, maybe not even a month ago, a couple weeks ago, about, basically they're showing various dosages of retatrutide and effects on fat around the liver and, adipose tissue. And it was something like an 8 milligram dose in, I'm just like making up numbers now. Something in a very short time frame, there was like a 60% reduction in like fat around since we're on retatrutide. And then actually it was like if you went higher, the sweet spot of a dose. But again, this is stuff that's like we're learning from folks from physical trainers, from bodybuilders, etc.
Where were they getting these before Gameday was around?
There are all of the peptides that we offer are pharma grade for human consumption, and via prescription and administered by a medical professional. And so I will say that it is a bit of the Wild West on the internet. And one thing that separates Gameday from
you can find some of these things just out there and
allegedly
yourself,
but you don't know their research chemicals. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know who you're getting it from. There's very little vetting. You don't even know what country necessarily some of this stuff's coming from. And like, no judgment, like you do you. But where Gameday comes in is that like we have like a CLIA certified blood lab, and we have board certified clinicians, and we're a legitimate doctor's office like in your community, and you can come in and talk to a real person and develop a relationship with that person. And so there's a much higher level of safety and trust. And also from a traditional medical background, our clinician right now has been an NP for it's been north of 10 years and was in nursing for north of 10 years before that. So a very wide ranging experience. Came to us from OPA. She's awesome. And so to apply that traditional medical background and training and pedigree and using blood work and of our vetting of pharmacies, and then from also the other side of things of Gameday this gets back to our community thing. So Gameday is a franchise, right? And there's about 300 ownership groups across the country. And we have the beauty of it is that we all have the same business, but we don't compete against each other. And so we can share best practices, and we do daily. I'm on the phone, text message, Slack, whatever, with a bunch of guys that are similar to me, and we all like love this stuff and live it every single day, and like are guinea pigs ourselves with a lot of these compounds. And like, hey, this is what worked for me. If this didn't work for me, like, what about this? Did you consider this? We just the other day we got in some glutathione and some amino complex, like vitamin injections. So we do vitamin injections as well for women, and just playing around with different doses. I sound real cavalier. I'm just playing around. But like absolutely. So then we were doing like 2 ml injections and some people are like 2 milliliters, and then you actually do it and you're like, oh, that's actually like fine. It doesn't feel any different than 1 or a half or whatever. And it's been a week now, loving the glutathione and amino complex, super even energy. It's been great. Cool. But so just things that like I wouldn't necessarily think of, and learning every day, trying things on myself, sharing what works, what doesn't work, what I like, what I don't like, and learning from folks in the community.
Very cool. Couple last questions. How long do you think you'll live? You're in this regenerative medicine business.
1,000. My why for all of this is that, so I have a 2.5-year-old, one more coming soon. I'm 39. I wish I would have started 10 years ago having kids, 10 years earlier, 10, 15 years ago. They're such a joy and a blessing. And I wish I would have ignored all of the wait to have kids. You can do it when you're older and more established, and like don't. For all the young folks out there, like, have some kids early. One, you'll be way more motivated and more successful. Part of why I don't want to devolve too much into this. But I want to be around when I'm 80, 85, 90, still like rolling around on the floor, playing with grandkids, great grandkids, whatever. And my, what pains me most is realizing that by starting later, I'll have 10 to 15 years less likely with grandkids or great grandkids. And not being able to have those experiences likely. And so what do I have to do now to set myself up to still be active and virile in my 80s or and so it's not just how long do I want to live, but how well do I want to live. Like, I have some neighbors with a little place in Petersville, and some neighbors in their early 80s that are still like crushing it, like running chainsaws and wood splitters and snow machining, and like that. I soak up as much coffee time as I can with those guys to like all the wisdom and knowledge, and like, what have they done? How can I apply that to my life? Whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, whatever. And so it's a long way to avoid your question.
No, it's a good question. That's the answer I'm looking for.
But yeah, not just living long, but living well.
Awesome. And then how do people find out more information about Gameday if they're interested? What's the best way?
A couple of different ways. You can go to our website, GamedayMensHealth.com, our Instagram or Facebook, Gameday Anchorage. We've been doing more footage. I'm sure we'll do some collaborative posting of this podcast. Yeah. And then you can also call or text us. Again, it all goes to me. Feel free to call nights, weekends, whenever. I'm always available. 907-268-4491 for calls. You can also text us at 907-268-2120. So any and all of those things, or Google Maps, or
here,
like Visa, everywhere you want to be.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on this platform. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah, and thank you. Shout out to you and Tyler. I always love having new young families coming into Anchorage.
Youngish.
And,
yeah.
Well,
yeah. We're on there.
I mean, you got a 2 and a 4-year-old, whatever.
We got young kids.
Yes, yeah. I just love. I think it's great having new energy and doing what we can in Anchorage to continue to attract more young-ish families of how do we make this community, not just of Anchorage but of Alaska writ large, a better place. And so I love that you guys are here. Anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to On The Ascent Health. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you found it helpful, share it with a friend and leave us a review. It helps more people discover the show. The views and opinions shared by guests on this podcast do not necessarily reflect my own or that of Ascent Health and Performance. The information provided is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. In the next episode, Dr. Nate Dietz from the Premier Life explains heart rate variability and how tracking it can reveal the health of your nervous system and how to improve it. Until next time, onward and upward.